This video, we've got something really exciting for you because James Workshop himself has reached out to us, Tabletop Time, and asked for us to build a project for Warhammer community.
That's right, we're going to be doing an Armies on Parade board to show off the new Death Korps of Krieg.
And in the process, we're going to be ticking off a full row of bingo for Warhammer's 2025 New Year, New Challenge.
Death Korps of Krieg, Trench Warfare, Armies on Parade board, but we requested a few special models to spice it up, including a Baneblade. So, let's tuck into it.
Transition.
It's Tabletop.
Ow.
So to design a Death Korps of Krieg trench board, we needed a baseboard, and we're gonna glue some foam onto it and carve some trenches, but it's all gonna be centered around this Baneblade kit, a destroyed and wrecked hull that is going to be serving as an ad hoc command post. I'm gonna draw out the plans for this board on the table, and then we can get to work cutting foam, building a Baneblade, and bringing this to life. All right, so one of the big considerations we're gonna have with this Baneblade is making sure it doesn't block all line of sight to the interesting things that are happening. So I'm actually thinking the focal point of the diorama or the trench warfare should not be directly in front. So we wanna look at sort of an angle at the battlefield, whereas our actual viewing point as an audience is right where the camera is. This way, anyone looking at the board is going to be looking almost at a cross section of some of the trenches, and it will allow us to see into our command post, see what's happening behind the Baneblade, and get a really good look at everything. Ta-da! Look at this beautiful mess, proving that in reality plans are often iterative and don't come out with beautiful, clear, made for YouTube diagrams that make sense to you. The point is, we understand it, and we're gonna start layering foam now.
The base plan here is that we're gonna have one trench for the foreground, and then moving back, we're gonna go up in elevation, and we're gonna have this sort of command structure, this command trench here, that the shadow sword, it's gonna be a shadow sword by the way, is going to be here. Over time, it's sort of been destroyed and fallen into this trench, or the trench was built around it. It is now part of the landscape. A little side trench leading to this one here, that's gonna be some nice detail and have little miniatures in it. And that is pretty much the plan. It's time to start cutting. So I have started building the shadow sword here, and the idea is that we're gonna have about 3/4 of it still intact, basically knocking the wall off like you're looking into like a Sims room or something. All here will be basically excavated out of the tank, and so we're gonna have like the little meeting room, you know, with the little holographic display that all the generals are gonna be standing around and pointing at the map and everything. The top of the tank is still gonna be on here with the big gun. This track is gonna be all intact, and about 70% of this track is gonna be missing, and it's just gonna be like the front that's been blown off. So I cannot wait to see this part done. It's gonna be an awesome board. Let's get going.
So I've used the tool to cut out the rough shape of where our trenches are gonna be, and I've specifically bent the foam cutter to have 25mm increments. This is slightly not like historically accurate, but what it will allow is for full bases of infantry to move both on the lower end and on the step where they raise to shoot their guns, which I think is gonna be really cool for this display board. With all of these carved out though, we are gonna have to look at decorating them. And to do that, we're gonna be using a variety of means. There are some great channels out there that have made cool videos on this. Black Magic Craft, Jeremy there's done some trench boards. Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop has done a great board series on this, and a lot of them focus on corrugated metal sheet. But we're gonna go for the more classic World War I vibe of lots of wood, timber struts, vertical uprights, and just use some metals as little spot details. But I'm gonna start on the duck boards. I'm gonna head out here, and Murray is gonna come and start working on some of those walls.
All right, so I'm going to start doing all of the sort of wood cladding, the, what do you call it? The side wide slats on the sides of the walls of the trench that stop the dirt falling on the man. That's good stuff. stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do all these skewers basically, so we get the appearance of like a log that's been applied to the side of the walls and then braced with either more of these, or we've got some bits of balsa that are in sort of squares, so it looks more like cut lumber. And we're just gonna go around, brace things, and also use some planks to do the areas that people stand on as well.
So I've got some really thin hobby wood, and the reason I got this is I think it's going to make amazing duckboards for all of these Krieg trenches. And duckboards are basically the wooden boards they put down so mud wouldn't soak into their boots. They had something solid to walk on. But one of the problems I have with things like popsicle sticks is the scale. So a wooden plank, of course, to a 28mm scale miniature is not going to be so wide it's the same width as their torso, or most wooden planks wouldn't be. If we think of a 2x4 today, that's probably the sort of thing they're throwing down to the ground. So to make them, I'm actually going to cut my own wooden strips and I'm going to texture them. That sounds like so much work, but it's actually not. So the key is to use a really soft wood and get a tool like this. This is a scraper for clay scraping and creating texture. These are really stiff wire bristles on the end of it, and they're kind of haphazard. And all I need to do is run these along the balsa wood a few times in every direction on both sides, and we have heaps of indented wood grain that washes and paint is just going to sink into. Then all I need to do is cut it into strips, and I have my wood planks. I really think these are going to look really good, and it's going to take a bit of time to make them, but I definitely think it's going to be worth it. So I've made up a bunch of boards which absolutely won't be enough, but I want to see how they work on the board. So what I'm going to do is mix some PVA glue with some sand, a bit of grit, and basically make a paste, because most trenches get filled with mud and the boards kind of get squished into the ground a lot. So what I'm thinking of doing is laying out the paste, then laying all of the duck boards on top of it, and then using something to press them down so they're all flat on the surface, but they will sort of unevenly sink into that putty underneath. I'm hoping it will turn out well, but the only way to find out is to just do it. So that's what I'm gonna do. So we can't just have wood cladding the sides of these. We want to have a little bit of variance. So I'm going to add some of these, sort of like a chain link mesh. I'm going to put some dirt on the wall behind it so we don't have to worry about the coloration, and then put some wood, and this is like a retaining mesh. This will just break up these nice, well-organized wooden log trenches. This is quite a well dug in and established trench, but yeah, I don't know how to transition out of that. I'll just do it. So I've mixed up this milliput here, and I'm going to use it to create some sandbags. Trenches often have multiple materials. I've also glued some corrugated iron sheet on there. And I've used plasticard for this, metal siding from plasticard, because the scale of all of those corrugations is a lot more accurate to 28mm than using like crepe paper or torn out cardboard. However, it's way more expensive and it's more annoying to work with, and you can't cover massive areas quickly, and it doesn't adhere to curves very well. So with all that said, it's a very specific choice, and I'm only using it because we're using just a few small panels rather than covering the whole trenches with it. I'd probably use the paper option if I was doing that. But milliput time, we're going to be making some lovely sandbags and sandbag walls, and it's time to do it. Yay! You like that?
So I've been busy putting in all of the supports, all of the little pieces that are going along the walls here. The next step is to do some uprights. So I've got the choice to make if I want square or round. Do a little bit of trial and error, we'll see what looks good, but there's still so much work to do and a lot more of these pieces to put in.
I like to be able to complete areas of a build, so the time has come for me to put down all these pieces of the Bane blade. I'm going to be gluing them all on random haphazard pieces into the soil so I can then go and muck them in with some of that brown texture paint I've been making up. And this will form the foundation of our little command briefing center. Let's do it. So we've left some of this board to dry over the weekend, and it is a beautiful 36 degrees Celsius in Australia right now, so we're dressed appropriately for the occasion. But I've got to get back to working on this board, and I'm going to continue sculpting a whole bunch of sandbags. There's a few areas of the trench wall that I want to make walls of sandbags, and then to decorate the top sections, idly scattering sandbags around all of the surfaces is going to give a bit of natural variance and chaos to what could otherwise look like a really uniform set of perfectly built trench walls. I think it's going to make it feel a bit more organic and real and lived in. And to do that, I'm just going to use Milliput, mix up a big batch of Milliput and get to work.
Dave and Jen have installed the tank, or the remains of the tank, and we quickly deduced that having the top of it on, it removed all possibility of having sort of miniatures in and around it. So we've changed our minds slightly. The ammunition is cooked off, and the tank lid, big hard case turret, has flipped off and is going to be landed over here. I'm going to take the turret and like bend it and actually make like an arch sort of over here, create a bit of narrative storytelling in the piece. I think it'll be really cool. So I'm going to start putting that together and then breaking it.
So I've done as much on the board as I can at the moment, so I'm gonna let the boys do the rest, but I'm gonna move on to something Dave has called texture putty. Basically, we need the inside of the tank to look mangled, so I'm gonna make a bunch of different textures so we can apply a paste to the inside. And I've got all this really weird stuff from the 3D printers. Basically, it's like the offcuts, but this is perfect. It looks like wire that's definitely seen better days. So I'm gonna use this, some plastic art and other textures as well, so we can make the inside of the tank look completely messed up. So let's do it. So I spent a lot of my time putting in these wooden posts in the trenches, and I'm almost done. I've just got to do this little section here, and I'm going to leave some spaces where Dave can do some sandbags as well. That variation is definitely what gives more narrative to this board. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and once that's complete, we can put on the final texture for this board and call it a day. So let's do it.
Okay, it's a new day. The sun is shining, the tank is clean. Not this tank though, this tank is filthy, it's all blown up, and it is time to start painting everything. It's all dry, it's looking great. But before I can break out the airbrush to do all of the bulk work on the ground, I need to prime and paint all these plastic hard panels, basically everything that actually needs some color on it. Even the milliput as well, they all need at least a base coat because we're gonna be using contrast paints and such to do all the heavy lifting, all the weathering and everything. It'll all blend together and become all homogenized. It'll look like it all belongs there. It's been there for ages. It's all filthy. It's all caked in mud. It's horrible. No one would want to be here. And that's just how the Kriegs like it. So I'm going to grab some paint and I'll start blocking out these parts. We have just strategically masked off the tank because we wanted to paint that differently. We have now gone through and used aerosols to spray it the color we wanted. It's just time to messify everything.
Yay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put some finishing touches on the board, such as this barbed wire. This was an old Games Workshop product they don't produce anymore. It comes spooled up like a little razor wire. I really miss it, they should do it again, but you can kind of unwind it and use it however you want. And after that, the absolute final step will be weathering this up and it will be good to go.
So the last bit of this project is to build up this command squad, which is pretty cool. There's some really awesome looking models in here. I'm also super thankful that all of these guys are wearing masks, so I don't have to paint any faces. But this is the last part of this project. So Murray's still working on the board. I'm gonna build these guys up, and then we're gonna talk about how we're gonna paint them. So time is of the essence, so let's keep going. So we have our beautiful characters here to spray up. They're all built, ready to go. I also forgot to mention there's a table here. He's from one of the Gene Stealer cults guys. We just like his table. We think he's cool. The guys, he's still on sprue and he might stay that way forever. Anyway, we're gonna spray him black, spray him the same colors we sprayed our troops as well, with the red and the green. And then we'll go through the entire painting process. So now I get to spray stuff, yay! And there's hardly any black left, yay!
And if you want to take part in Warhammer's New Year New Challenge, go check it out. We've got a link in the description and you can use hashtag Warhammer Challenge. That link will get you your own cards so you can follow along and try and get bingo before your friends. And you don't have to do it all in one massive project. You can pace yourselves a little bit there. I hope you all have fun doing that. It is a lot of fun to try and tick off those boxes and see if you can get there first. So yeah, check out the link in the description if you want to grab the downloadable card. This has been a super cool project and it's been really exciting that Games Workshop actually thought of us. It's really cool that Games Workshop actually reached out to us directly to help make this Warhammer community article.
This was absolutely awesome to put together, and it just feels alive. It feels so, I don't know, true to the lore.
Yes.
It just means it's just dirty and filled with men who are about to die, which is the Warhammer way.
It feels very classic White Dwarf coded, which I think is perfect for a bunch of big lovers of Warhammer who are making a Warcom article, basically.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pat ourselves on the back, but if I opened up a magazine or something and saw this, I'd be chuffed. I'd be like, yes,
yeah.
this is what I want to see. Hell yeah. Good job, guys.
And we've also almost completed bingo for our New Year New Challenge.
All right, what have we done? What did we tick off?
So we have paint a Warhammer 40k centerpiece miniature.
Bang, done.
Paint a Warhammer 40k character miniature.
Oh, bang, done.
There's two, yeah.
Then player's choice, which is...
Build an armies on parade board. 100% our choice.
paint a unit of Warhammer 40k miniatures.
We painted like 5.
Yes.
And all we gotta do, the last one is play a Warhammer 40k combat patrol game.
Okay, who's playing? Murray?
I'll play.
Ready to lose? Let's go.
Show off.
Thanks for watching.
That's right. Tune in for next year for our combat patrol game.